Well, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see we have some new members. Let me shout y'all out real quick. Samantha Dunn, thank you. Sugar Beet, thank you. Faraway Eyes, thank you. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so this one is a good one. We had a little bit of technical difficulties in the back. Can you guys hear me okay? Put a one in the chat. Just kidding. I'm not that person. Just let me know if you can't hear. Um, what was I going to say? So, yeah, we had a little technical difficulties for a second, but I think we got it figured out. This is a good one. I think you guys are going to like this one. Um, it's kind of scandalous, kind of silly, kind of crazy, but also like low key scary. So, like, not scary like that, just more like alarming at the depths that somebody would go to. Um, so, hello, Molson Man. Hello, Yvonne Smith, Rita, Sugar Beet, Max 2002, Team Psych Ward, Sam. Who else am I missing? Blues Girl, Momo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So should I just start it or what? All right, so I'm going to start with the opening that I made. Let's hope everything works out good because you know how it be when I try to share stuff. So fingers crossed this works. Here we go. All right, all right. Hello. Thank you, Mo. Welcome. Welcome to member. I can't see what member it puts you at StreamYard. So let me look. 1100 Club. Ooh. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Jenny. Oh, you binge watch my roast and sub. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So let me add this to the stream since that one went good. And let's see how it goes. I'm going to talk over it. I had originally thought I was going to like make this more of like a premiere, but then the girls are like, no, people like when you go live. And I was like, no, they don't. And they're like, yes, you do. So here we are. All right. I'm adding it now. Here we go. So we're going to go back to 1991. That's when this happened. So this is when Nirvana was king. Grunge ruled the airwaves. Everybody was smelling like Teen Spirit. And then Metallica came out with their Black Album and proved that they were still a force to be reckoned with. Thank you, Shmita, for becoming a member. Wednesdays were 90210 nights, and the feud between Kelly and Brenda was still 2 years away. We were trying to figure out who killed Laura Palmer and why everything in the Black Lodge was backwards and in reverse. Silence of the Lambs was in the movie theaters and had us all trying fava beans and Chianti. Buffalo Bill made us never look at lotion and baskets quite the same, and the song Goodbye Horses was also never the same again. Boys in the Hood came out, raised our social consciousness, proved once again that Ice Cube was also a force to be reckoned with, that he wasn't just a rapper. And there's me, a young Jen Lou. I was a freshman in high school in 1991, full of resting bitch face and teen angst, literally for like zero reason. Thank you, Molson Man, for becoming a member. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so that was Jen Lou in 1991. I remember those jeans, and I remember those shoes too. Those were my Mary Janes from Esprit. I loved those jeans or those shoes, and I love those jeans. I'm not sure why. Oh, thank you, Amelia. I'm not sure why I was so angry back then. Like I have zero reason to be in such a snip, but I was very, very. I had a resting bitch face before anybody knew what it was. All right. I'll get you guys get a good look at that. All right. So, meanwhile, in Channelview, Texas, which is where this takes place, it's like a little suburb outside of Houston. All right. So, Friday nights were all about football and cheerleading. The teenage girls were in gyms practicing their gymnastics for tryouts. All right. So, what had what happened then? What happened was, so these are the alleged rivals, right? This Amber Heath and Shanna Harper. Okay, they were in middle school at I think it's Alice Junior High, which made me kind of chuckle for a second. Um, and Amber Heath consistently made the cheer team. So what would happen is they would have the girls um, try out, right? But part of the tryouts were also elections, okay? And Shayna never hadn't made it yet. And that particular year, the reason that Shayna didn't make it is because there were rules. And I guess the elections had gotten like out of hand and kids were doing just too much. So they made it where you could put up posters around the school, but um you couldn't like hand things out like flyers or anything like that. So um Shayna ended up handing out I feel like it was some type of handout. In the movie, it was they had used paint sticks or rulers. They had rulers printed up with her name on it, and then they were told the new rules. So they had the little megaphones cut out, and they had glued the rulers to the handouts, and that's what ended up getting her disqualified. But I can't remember um, if that was if that was true, because it doesn't really talk about it like in any of the articles or anything. So I did try out in 8th grade. I tried out to be a cheerleader in high school, and I made it. And I I just wanted to see if I could. And then I didn't go through with it. I just didn't want to. I really didn't actually want to be a cheerleader. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So that was me. Um, I was way more interested in playing soccer, and I was so bummed when I got to high school because, um, so in where I went to high school, which was in Arlington, Texas, they still had um, the high ninth grade was at the junior high. Okay, so you had seventh, eighth, and ninth at the junior high, and then you had 10th, 11th, and 12th at the high school. But the year that I started school, they had just built James Bowie High School, and they weren't going to have a senior class because everybody wanted to graduate from the high school that they'd already gone to. So they opened it up for a freshman class. So that's how I ended up going to I was probably going to be the angriest little cheerleader ever. I would have been just sassy. Would have been a nightmare. I probably wouldn't have, and I wasn't going to have fun. It wasn't really my bag. Anyway, so I get to high school and I'm super excited thinking I'm going to get to do the high school thing, right? And I'm going to get to be on the soccer team. Well, because in Arlington, ninth grade is at the junior high and it's not actually at the high school. I couldn't try out for the soccer team until I was a sophomore, and I was not, not happy. That could have been part of the reason I had that resting bitch face. Who knows? Who knows? Yes, that's right, Molson Man. The ruler was considered a handout with her name on it, and it wasn't allowed, and that's what got her disqualified. Okay. So these are the alleged rivals, right? But the true rivals, hold on, I'm going to show you. Probably should have timed these out a little bit better. Okay. The true rivals were actually Wanda Holloway and Verna Heath. They had been friends at one point, okay? And they were actually neighbors. They like lived right around the corner from one another. All right? But I can't remember what it was that their falling out was, because the one of the movies doesn't even talk about it. Like they don't act like they were ever friends, but the Lifetime movie does. And I can't remember what it was that caused them to have a falling out. I think that it actually was about the cheerleading, and that Verna Heath seemed to have some type of pull, in at least in Wanda Holloway's mind, behind the scenes. And what ended up happening was, I just love how, now this is Texas, y'all. All right. And let me just say this. I grew up in Texas, and in, I think forever, even now still, the higher the hair, the closer to Jesus. And these two were definitely rocking that look. I see a lot of Aquanet. A lot. And shoulder pads, some good old shoulder pads. So what ends up happening is Wanda just knew that Verna Heath was behind Shanna being disqualified, okay, from running for cheerleader, right? And she was livid, and she was out for revenge, okay? So now we're going to talk about the plot, okay? This plot is completely like bananas, and it actually doesn't even make sense when you say it out loud, which is weird that it got as far as it did, because it actually really does not make sense. Okay. All right. So what the plot was is Wanda contacted her ex brother-in-law, Terry Harper. Okay. And she went to him and she was like, look, this woman is out to get Shanna. She's done all the things. She's sabotaged her any hope that she has of ever being a cheerleader. And this was devastating to Wanda. Like, she took Shanna not being a cheerleader as a personal insult. And yes, Molson, man. Let me highlight that. That's what it was. Thank you. Molson, you want to come up here and help me with this? Because you seem to know all the things. So anyway, the plot goes like this. Initially, Wanda wanted both Verna and Amber to be killed. Okay. But after talking to Terry, I think he said this is like super duper expensive, right? Like, you're never going to be able to afford this. But in between all of those phone call, yeah, let me here, I will post the link. Come on up here with me. So in between all these conversations that they're having, Terry starts to get like panicky, because he thinks that there's a potential that Wanda is setting him up. And that's the truth. It's not like he went to the police because he was concerned, right? Or to protect anybody. I mean, he was concerned. He was concerned for himself. All right. So he goes to the police, right? And the police hear this story and they're like, they didn't believe him at all. No, I did not actually know these girls. So they grew up in Channelview, and I was older than they were. And Channelview is like a little suburb out of Houston, and where I live, which is South Texas, and where I lived was way North Texas. I lived in Arlington, so it's in the DFW area. Okay, so anyway, so he gets like freaked out. So he goes to the cops, right? And the cops are like, they don't believe this because it does sound far-fetched. Okay. So they say to him, look, can you get her on tape? All right. So he ends up calling Wanda, right? And then he gets her on recording, okay, and and discussing it, right? And saying, yeah, I still want it done, right? So then the cops start taking him seriously, okay? And so then they decide, okay, well, we're going to need before we can even move any further with this, right, we need more evidence. Okay, so they wire Terry up. Hold on, let me show you who he is real quick. It started to change right before I hit pause. All right, so this is Terry Harper. Okay, so they wire him up. Okay, and he and Wanda meet in the parking lot of Grandy's, which I don't even think they have Grandy's anymore. And let me tell you something about Grandy's. The only thing there's two things that's good there. Well, three: their chicken fried steak, their rolls, and their mashed potatoes, but don't get the gravy. There's something very wrong with their gravy, and I don't know what it is, but it's gross. I don't like it. You might like it, but it's gross. I wish that I could get a whole I tried to find the tapes, Molson Man, for everybody to hear, but I can't find them. If you know where they are, hook me up and I'll put them on the channel. They are but I remember hearing them and they are kind of like ridiculous. So anyway, so now the police are believing him, right? But they don't have quite enough evidence on Wanda, right, to actually make an arrest. Okay. So they end up having her meet with an undercover cop who they negotiate the price, which is really, that is the moment that they decided that Wanda said, okay, well, I can't afford this crazy price, so let's just settle for Verna. And her thinking was that if Verna was dead, that Amber would be so distraught that she would not be able to try out for cheerleading, and therefore Shanna was sure to make it because Amber was no longer competition. This was the plan, okay? And and they arranged for her to pay with these with some jewelry, including some diamond earrings. Okay, so thank you, Molson Man. I looked and looked and looked and looked. Well, Jenny, you have to sort of, well, nobody should. Okay, and this is a completely like off the wall situation, but I will tell you, because I grew up in Texas, there is two things that are super serious in Texas: football and cheerleading. And that's just what you do. It's like a big deal, a huge, huge deal. Okay. And especially in these little tinier towns, right? Yeah. The truth of the matter really is with Wanda is that she was raised extremely strict. Her family was very religious and they didn't agree with Wanda. Always wanted to be a cheerleader and they would never let her be one because it went against their religious morals. And so this was her attempt to live vicariously through her daughter. And the truth of the matter is, Shayna was into it for a minute, but then she actually didn't want to do it anymore. It was more, it stopped becoming fun because her mother was so serious about it. And again, it's, you know, she was living through her daughter, which is, you can't do. My daughter was a cheerleader, my youngest, when she was in first grade. Oh my gosh, she was the cutest little cheerleader. And let me say this, I took it seriously in that I said, if you're going to do something, you got to put your effort into it. If you don't want to do it, we're not going to do it. But if we are going to do it, then you got to go to practice, right? And you got to try your best. And she did. And my part was, she was so cute, you guys. And maybe I'll find the picture and blur her face out so I can show you guys. But my part was to get her there, right, and to help her. But let me say this. She had the best cheerleading hair on the entire squad. I used to put her hair up in the high ponytail and the big, huge bow. And then I would curl her hair, but I would do small sections, and they were just individual ringlets. She was adorable. Oh, she was so cute. She was so cute. And she had this tiny little who face. Oh, she was so cute. Anyway, so once they get her on tape, right, then and they get them and they get the jewelry. See, that was the part of it. They really want you. It's one thing to discuss it, right? But you've got to make the payment or they really can't get you, right? Because then they don't have anything. Okay. So so they get her on tape and they take her and they arrest her, right? And then she bonds, she makes bail, right? And then she goes to trial. Okay. So she goes to trial and everybody's testifying, and then comes the twist. Okay. This is Wanda Holloway's ex-husband. Okay. Tony Harper. Now, although Wanda and Tony had been divorced since 1980, and Wanda was remarried, and I feel like he was too, but they don't really talk about her so much. So anyway, being a cheer mom was the scariest thing. Oh, it was fun. I thought Emma had a great time, and she just, she loved it, and so I loved it. And I remember they had to do at the end of it, they had their little like showcase or whatever, and part of the dance was Gangnam Style, and she was the only kid that could do it, and I was just she was so cute. I wish I would have. I've got to. I got to find that picture. Maybe I have some video, anyways, anywhere, somewhere. Anyway, so I'm all over the place. My ADD is really bad tonight. Shmita, you're not even keeping me organized, lady. Okay. So, even though they had been divorced for some years, right? And Wanda is remarried, they were embroiled in this like gnarly custody battle, right? And he wanted custody of Shayna or Shanna. I always want to say Shayna because of another case, but Shanna and her daughter and her brother, excuse me. And anyway, it was going on and on and on and on. Okay. So that's part of this. So then I should have made these slides shorter. Okay. Enter Marla Harper. Okay. Marla is married to Terry. Okay. She testified for the defense. She said that she overheard Terry and Tony conspiring to set Wanda Holloway up so that she would go away and that Tony would then get custody by default, right? And she even alleged that Terry, her husband, because they were estranged, they weren't actually divorced at the time of the trial. They were still together, but there had been an incident. And evidently, what had happened was she says that Terry beat her up in order to scare her and into not testifying and not telling what she knew. Okay. I understand Sugar Beet. I was on the fence with it too, but she wanted to do it so bad. And I wanted her to do it because yeah, we're gonna get there, Molson man. Anyway, she wanted to do it. And as a mom, I was like, well, I'll support you, whatever you want to do. But she only did it the 1 year. After she did it, she was like, yeah, okay, I'm good. I don't want to do it anymore. I was like, all right, whatever. So anyway, no, I know you weren't judging, babe. I know. My ADD is really bad and I should probably not be looking at chat, but I don't like it when I'm a viewer and nobody's looking at chat, like they're ignoring it or whatever. I feel like they're ignoring it, but now I kind of, and anyway, you can tell it's really bad tonight. But anyway, so she says, that he beat her up in order to keep her from testifying, which obviously did not work because here she is testifying, right? Okay. So then we get So the end of the trial comes, okay, and Wanda Holloway is found guilty of what is it? I think it was conspiracy. Let me look, make sure I have it right. She was found guilty of solicitation of capital murder, and I think that had to, yeah. So, and then she was sentenced to 15 years, okay, in prison, right? And everybody was like, this thing blew up, like it was all over the headlines. People magazine did a story on it, and everybody was like, lost their minds, right? Because it is crazy, like who just for the thing of it is that her line of thinking was so off the wall, just because, like, okay, just because you take her mother out and maybe the daughter then doesn't try out the next year, and that you just know for sure that your daughter's going to make it. It's just such an absurd way of thinking. And people have described Wanda as like super incredibly cold and rough around the edges, but like just really stern and just cold. So she gets, she's convicted, she's sentenced to 15 years, and everybody's like, okay, that's the end of that. Well, it's not the end of that, because then it was discovered that one of the jurors was on probation for a felony drug related charge, right? So therefore was not eligible to serve as a juror. So they throw the conviction out, and Wanda she gets a retrial. Okay. So the retrial comes around. By this point, she's hired a different defense attorney, and they decide together, okay, we're just going to plead. So she pled no contest, right? And so then she gets, on September 9th, 1996, she was sentenced to 10 years in prison with a fine of $10,000. So right before that, 2 years before that, actually, in 1994, the Heaths had sued Wanda Holloway, okay? And they civil suit, right? So she ended up settling that on October 2nd, 1994, and she agreed to pay a total of $150,000 to the victims, and then they split the fund up. So 70,000 was going to go to Verna and her husband. 30,000 went to Verna's children, and 50,000 went to cover the expenses of the case, right? Okay. So she took a plea deal, right? And then she was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Okay. 6 months after she was sentenced, she was released from prison March 1st, 1997. And so what ended up happening then was she was ordered to serve the rest of her sentence, 9.5 years, on probation and complete 1,000 hours of community service. All right. So hold on. I think that I have some. So this is from ABC 13 Eyewitness News. And this was one of the news reports that they talked about, where this is part of her testimony that Marla testified to at the trial. And, basically she's what I said, that, she alleged that this was all a conspiracy against Wanda between her husband, Terry, and his brother, Tony. So I'll let you see these real quick. And this is when she testified to, the beating that her husband gave her. Okay, so here, let me unmute this. This is from
God has watched over me.
the news.
Verna Heath is alive tonight because someone
tipped off police a neighbor was trying to kill her. Her daughter is a cheerleader, one of the most popular girls in her class. The mother of 14-year-old Shauna Harper desperately wanted that for her daughter. Enough, police say, to kill.
When someone wants something for their child and they don't achieve it, it hurts a lot. But nothing is important enough, not this anyway.
The husband of 36-year-old Wanda Holloway said his wife did not want to talk about the allegations. And friends in this quiet neighborhood are shocked by her arrest.
To suggest that she would go to any ends to get her daughter to become a cheerleader, to me, is frankly ludicrous.
But neighborhood teenagers paint a picture of a mother overwhelmed with her daughter's success.
The mom would get flyers for me to pass out at school.
What would the flyers say?
Vote for Shannon Harper.
News of the arrest is now making its way through the junior high school where both girls attend. One mother said, "This kind of thing can't happen here. It only happens in soap operas." Ron Regan, Channel 2 News, Nightcast.
The Channelview woman charged with hiring a contract murderer to kill the mother of a middle school cheerleader is out on bond today. It was the talk of the junior high school where both their daughters went to school. Teachers say both girls were good students and well-liked. The only difference...
Yeah, Alice Johnson. I knew it was Alice something.
...trial for solicitation of capital murder had never made the cheerleading squad. Verna Heath's daughter, on the other hand, had been on the squad for 2 years, and new cheerleader elections were coming up. The suspect and the intended victim lived around the corner from one another.
She's been assured by, the law enforcement agencies.
That's Verna Heath's husband.
Things like that, with trial coming to date, that, that she doesn't have anything to worry about. But once someone, once there's a contract on you, that just changes things.
The $2,500 contract was only on Mrs. Heath's flight, but investigators say at one point Holloway considered a contract on Heath's 13-year-old daughter as well. She decided against it, apparently, because she didn't have enough money.
Okay, and now we're going to get to my favorite part, because this
Her devoted mother. She'd cook for her kids. She'd clean for her kids. She'd kill for her kids.
Well,
I mean, what does this guy do?
He does everything. He can break her legs. He can burn her house.
I ain't gonna help him.
Kidnap her.
Anything to make her little girl a cheerleader.
You know who I'd like to see dead? Verna Heath.
Anything.
What kind of money are you talking about?
$7,500. I told you it's going to be expensive.
HBO Pictures presents the true story of just how far people will go for their children.
You're under arrest for solicitation of murder.
Just how far people will go to tell their story.
I need me a lawyer, partly for my own protection, partly for my kids' protection, partly to have someone get me a good deal on the movie rights.
Terry finally sold his story to ABC for nothing, I'm sure. And that's going to end up being just another cheap movie of the week.
Just how far, period.
Mama, when they make the movie, can I play myself?
That's what I'm planning, sister.
Holly Hunter, Beau Bridges, and Swoosie Kurt star in the HBO original movie.
What should I wear for jail?
The positively true adventures of the alleged Texas cheerleader murdering mom.
There is justice after all.
Premieres Saturday, April 10th only.
All right, and then this was the second Willing to Kill. And as Molson Man has pointed out, it is Holly Hunter versus, Leslie Ann Warner, and that was Warren, and that was on Lifetime. Now, I watched both of them, you guys, and yes, Jenny, that is a cheap price, but you have to think about the times, okay? I mean, it's still even cheap for that, but still. Okay. So I've watched them both, and I have to tell you guys that The Positively True Adventures is by far superior. Okay, first of all, it's Holly Hunter. Okay, and I'll tell you who she reminds me of. So if you guys haven't seen Raising Arizona, You have to watch that because she is she reminds me of her character from that movie, right? Because she nails the accent and all the other stuff, but she also is able to nail Wanda Holloway's like stare. Like Wanda had this really piercing, cold, crazy stare that she could give people, and just the stuff that came out of her mouth. Like Holly Hunter was like the best. This is one of my favorite movies. And when I was working on the episode, I was digging around trying all of my crazy sources that I'd go through to find the movie to see if I could find it, anywhere online. And I even have HBO Max, and they have a bunch of their old stuff on there, but they don't have this. So I was thinking maybe I'll just make a suggestion. And yeah, Raising Arizona is just, it's the best. It's such a good movie. And but anyway, the Lifetime one is probably like closer to more factual, okay? But it's just, and it's good. It's just, the other one is better. So then they have Swoosie Kurtz. She's the one that plays Marla, and she's just like phenomenal in it. They have her like spraying her leg when she gets mad at Terry. She sprays her leg with oven cleaner, and I have used this line like 11 billion times. It's my favorite from the movie. And she says, because Terry says, and that's Beau Bridges, and he says, surrounded by crazy women, I got a crazy woman in here, I got a crazy woman on the phone, and she's washing dishes, and she turns around, she throws the sponge in the sink, and she says, crazy women are made by crazy men. And I'm telling you, hit me right in my soul. Even way back then, I knew. And I use it all the time. Like my husband would be like, you're crazy. And I'll tell him, crazy women are made by crazy men. He gets tired of me quoting lines at him. But anyway, it's the best. And I had totally forgotten until I rewatched the trailer for it right now with you guys, that Giovanni Ribisi was in this. And I feel like there's not a whole lot of other like super well-known names, but I had forgotten that he was in it. So let's see. The Lifetime was good. Okay. But it's more serious. I mean, it's Lifetime. Okay. It's more serious, probably a little bit more fact-based. It's still a good movie. It's just not as good. All right. So where are they now? All right. So here's Shanna. She is married. She's got 2 boys, and she did give a interview to People Magazine where, she talked about, that the situation, especially with the media scrutiny, it really did affect her. And it made school obviously very difficult because it's not that big of a town. People knew. And she said that, she and her mom still talk, right? They're not estranged or anything, but excuse me, they're not as close as they were. And hang on, let me take a drink. Like when it comes to the whole situation, basically what her mom told her is, you know what, I did it. I'm sorry. I regret it, but you're going to have to get past it. And that's about, like, they don't discuss it. And that's that. And that's when she talks about how, truth be told, she never actually really wanted to be a cheerleader. She did for a little while. And then, like I said, it just got to be too much. Her mom was too pushy. And she just didn't want to do it anymore. It just stopped being fun. All right. So that's Shanna. She's got 2 little boys, and they are adorable. I didn't want to put them on here because, I don't know, they're out in the public, and I figure if you guys want to find it, you guys will find it. But this is Wanda today. She's still got that, what is that saying? 50-yard death stare or whatever. Yeah, that's her today. And here is Verna. Hold on, give me a second. And Verna pretty much still looks the same. She actually looks really great. Her hair isn't as big, but it's similarly styled, just less curl, right? Now there is a picture of Amber on the internet. Okay, if you Google her name, Amber Heath now. But when the picture that it pulls up of her now goes to a Twitter account, and I couldn't verify 100% that it was her. She does have similar features to Amber as a teenager, but of course it's sort of difficult to tell because for one, the pictures that are shown from the 90s, they're not digital, right? So it's they're blurrier, they don't have as good a detail. And obviously the one that's on Twitter is digital and it's much crisper. But I didn't want to post her picture and be wrong. So I'll still work on it, and maybe I can find out if, or find a better one, or verify that is her. But Verna's still doing Verna. Wanda's still doing Wanda, and that's about that. So that's all I got for you guys. Yeah, pinched lips for sure, Heather, whatever. I just didn't want to put a picture up there of a girl that looks similar and then have to like take it down, and be like, I didn't, because I just wasn't like 100% sure. So I don't. Molson man, do you want to come up? I dropped the link. Are you going to click the link and come up? Please. I'll drop it again. You better come up. I know you've done other people's panels. I'm not going to name any names, but I know you do. So please come on up. Click the link. No, I don't think they, I don't think that, I think Verna does, but I don't think that, Wanda and Shanna still live in the same town. I think they've moved. They're still in Texas though, I think. I didn't want to get all too huge personal with them just because, well, I mean, come on, Carrie, like I've seen him on other panels and he knows all the things. So he should come up. Cause I be forgetting stuff. Because I'm working on like multiple cases at a time. The next one, the one for next week is Death of a Cheerleader. You guys remember that? Okay, 2 minutes. Yay. You guys remember that case? The Lifetime movie with Tori Spelling and oh God, what's her name? It's on the tip of my tongue right now. Can't think. What is her name? Help me out, audience. Kelly Martin. Yeah, I'm going to do that. That's going to be next Wednesday's case. So I'm working on that, and all the stuff is all like jumbled in my brain, and I already have ADD and just other issues. Like sometimes my memory is really great for like movies and some details from crimes and music, song lyrics, but then other times I'm like, Dory, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Sometimes it's like that for me. Today's one of those days. So, yeah, it's the one I'm going to do next. It's actually a really interesting, sad case. And then they redid it. They remade Death of a Cheerleader, and they had Kelly Martin in it again. Only I feel like I can't remember what her role was. I have to rewatch it again because I started watching it and then I don't remember what happened. Obviously, something distracting, which could be anything. To be honest with you, I could have said, "Oh, I wonder who this is. They look familiar," and I could have hit up the Googles to see who was cast in it, and then that got me somewhere else, which led me somewhere else. And before you know it, I wasn't even watching the movie anymore. That's it. Thank you, Team Psych Ward. She was a police officer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I forgot. I didn't watch it. I'm gonna have to rewatch it and see if it's holds up to the original one. I feel like the original one is on Prime, so you can catch it on Prime. I wish that HBO would bring back The Positively True Adventures of the Alleged Texas Cheerleader Murdering Mom. It's the longest title ever because it was so good. Just the way Holly's just really good. She can be very, very serious, and she has great comedic timing. She's a great actress. She really cracks me up. Oh, that's after. So after I do the 2 cheerleader ones, right? Death of a Cheerleader, and then I just did this one. I'm going to do the Long Island Lolita, Amy Fisher, with Mary Jo and Joey Buttafuoco. That's it's in the Wilson, man, what's up? Let me add you. It was so good. Just the way Holly's just really good. She can be very, very serious. Like mute your
Yep, I got it. All right, we good?
Yep, you're good. Hey,
All right, how are you doing? Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too. What you up to?
Nothing. It was funny because I ran upstairs and put on a sweatshirt, and I came back downstairs. My wife's like, "Death of a Cheerleader next week." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So she heard because I left the laptop on, so she's joining me next week. She's all in it. I don't know what that is, but she's like, "No, I have no idea."
You don't know the Lifetime movie with it's with Kelly Martin and Tori Spelling. It's the Kristen Costas case. It happened in California.
Yeah, I don't know that one. But she's the one to it. She was excited.
Yay, good. Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm excited to do that one. And then I'm going to do the Amy Fisher one after that.
Oh, Amy Fisher. That's another good one.
Long Island Lolita.
This one's 91. Amy Fisher was 92. The 90s were like loaded with good things.
They were.
There was no social media. So we had just newspapers and like current affair and cool shit like that, I think we were spoiled back then, even though today we're certainly spoiled, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually feel like back then was sort of better than it is now.
There was innocence to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like granted, okay.
I could read a newspaper,
Yeah. And actually it had, and if you actually wanted to find something out, you actually really for reals had to look.
You had to go to work.
Hit the Google.
Hell yeah. No, we're spoiled as shit nowadays. That's what it is.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. But the movies better. So 80 serial killers. Well, the 70s.
See, I was never a bit. You said serial killers? Is that what you said? I think you're bouncing out, or I'm bouncing out. I don't even see chat. Maybe I'm out. Am I out? Okay. Hey, Rita, what's up? A friend to die for. Is that what the fuck? Why is it just me here? All right. I think Jen dropped off for a second. I think she's coming back, Harry. I hope. Shamita is here, but it looks like you're muted. Fuck. Yeah, I know. I've never done anything like this before. Shamita, unmute and say something. Somebody else come up. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. Where did Jen go? Jen. There she is.
Oh, sorry about that. My computer I don't even know what it did. All of a sudden, everything just went black.
That bastard.
Damn demon. I blame NK. Should have packed up that demon and wrecked my laptop.
Of course, exactly.
But yeah, you had to actually find that stuff if you wanted to find it. You had to look it up for reals. You can just hit up the Googles. And
exactly.
The 90s just had the more come on guys, the more scandalous stuff.
They had a lot of shit. I mean, it did. I mean, it was a huge one, obviously.
Yeah.
There's a case I'll tell you about. I'm not going to bring it up here, but it's kind of a gory 90s case, and that's what true crime. And to just bounce the name to you. I mean, I don't want to. it's really a fucked up case. That's why I'm like, I don't even want to say the name of the case, but that's what got me. I was just curious if you knew the name. So should I say it or just hit you up later?
Either one, whichever way you want to do it. It's up to you.
I'm going to say the name. The Shanda Sharer case.
Yes, I know exactly what case you're talking about.
It's my first ever dive into true crime. It would have fucked up dive, right? But yeah, I'm just like, that case to this day, I still think about it. It was just a
brutal
anyway.
And nonsensical.
Unnecessarily so. And these were young girls. These were, young
like
girls.
12 and 13.
Correct. Well, I think one of them was a little bit older, but teenage girls nonetheless. A night out and just
Yeah, it was bad. That was a bad one. After I do Amy Fisher, then I'm going to do
Amy Fisher.
It's a good one. A Killer Among Friends. Remember that one with Patty Duke and Tiffany Amber Thiessen?
Is that the ones like Bringing Back a Finger?
No.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Pool acid, all that. Yes. That's the one.
My wife one day, she's like, you got to watch this movie. It's got, because we watched Saved by the Bell, so it's got Kelly from Saved by the Bell in it. I remember that part specifically, and we've watched it a couple of times. We've just laughed or YouTubed it just for fun. In fact, we did it like we were away this summer, just in a hotel room, just bullshitting. But I remember that part where she's like, "Bring me back a finger." I'm like, and they were all like, "Okay, cool." Like no one thought, like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Right.
Ask that question.
It was such a mess, and the truth. The movie is good, and it's
not bad.
Primarily on the story, but the real story is even more messed up. Like it really is. It's messed up. So I'm going to do that one.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was based on a true story. I just thought it was.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading it. My mom was an avid. The only subscription to anything she ever got was friggin' People. She got People every single week. And and so I was reading it and I was like,
oh my God. Good old days, right? Those
were the good old days.
Nope.
That's when you went to 17 magazine for your fashion advice, which is probably why I'm wearing whatever the fuck it was I was wearing in the
I did, but I got into Fangoria. That's the shit I got into as I got older. That what Fangoria is? Like the horror movie magazine, that's what I got into. You went 17, I went Fangoria, but it's cool. At least we started with the the old fashioned way. Well, we had no choice, right?
Right. I like 17, but I also liked Mad and Thrasher. And I really only like Thrasher because I just thought the skater guys were good looking. I didn't really actually want to skateboard. I married a skater.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, no, I married a skater. I sure did.
I did it one time and I busted my ass. I was like, nah, not for me. But it was always cool to watch. And that was the big thing. Just, roles they had and all that. That was that. We lived in definitely a different time that I'm glad we can appreciate. Like, I'm talking like I'm like 500.
We're not even that old. Like I feel okay. I feel old enough to drink. So I feel like 21.
Yeah.
Mainly, most of the time, like 12 on a bad day. Emotionally, I'm stuck at 12, but for the most part, I feel like a responsible.
You want to just punch things like you would when you were probably younger than now, like 8.
Yeah, I like sometimes. I have thought frequently about flopping on the floor and having a temper tantrum. I'm just afraid I wouldn't be able to get back up. I got bad knees and a bad back now.
I just want to go to a grocery store and just put my arm up on like the aisle with the jelly, all the jars and pickles and shit. Like fucking, you know what I mean? Just knock them all.
Just knock them all down.
Yeah, just knock them all down just for fun. And I don't want to clean it up and I certainly don't want to hurt anybody, but that would just be a nice aggression way to just
Yeah. Just to get some aggression out. They have breaking rooms where they just put you in a room with stuff that you can just smash and break.
You'll remember this, Jen. Well, I hope you do anyway. Remember Finders Keepers on Nickelodeon where they used to go in and just mess up rooms?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like yes. I always went to get on Double Dare, and of course
I did too. I used to yell at those kids. What are you doing? How are you sliding? Stick to the side. Stick to the side. Oh, I was so mad.
So they slide, like, come on. But it always looked like it was never always a challenge to even go down the slide. I guess the props there weren't so good, but I always want to goddamn do it. Or be sliding.
I was so annoyed.
With Double Dare?
Mm-hmm. I just used to get to, because like it was a team thing at the very end, right? Oh, that went down wrong.
At the very end, one isn't one versus the other for like they're timing it, right? I remember they did a family one too, which I didn't care much for. I'm like, oh, come on now.
No, at the end, whichever team won, they got to go to the obstacle course, right? And so it was a 2-person team, but there was always this one person that was just lagging and not pulling their weight, and it would drive me insane. Like, why did you pick this person?
Well, because usually it was like this is my cousin, or this is the guy that I'm on the paper route with. It was always like a really tight friend or family member. You know what I mean? They didn't just. I think they were team for a reason.
Yeah, they knew each other. Right, they knew each other, but that's what would irritate me the most. You picked this person. Why would you pick this person? You should know them better than anybody.
Yeah, good point. Good point. You should know them better than anybody. Yeah, exactly.
Right. You should know their skill set, and it ain't this.
You suck. You had one job, but you suck.
You couldn't get that friggin' flag. It was right friggin'. Yeah, I would get so annoyed. But I'm extremely competitive. So if I'm going to do something, I play to win. And otherwise, I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Like, and I can't have any slacker on my team. If you're playing with me, we're going to win.
We should write into Nickelodeon and have them bring it back. Adult-wise, and we.
Yes, I'll be your partner. Hell yeah, we'll get every flag.
We can YouTube live the shit.
Yeah, we should. We should totally do that. They do need to bring it back.
I wonder if is it really gone? I don't know. Does Nickelodeon still exist?
Nickelodeon still does exist. And I'm just going to tell you a secret, just between you and me, and the 16 people watching. Sometimes I still watch SpongeBob, even though my kids are grown up.
I've never been a Sponge. Thank God I have 2 sons, and neither one were. He's always been annoying to me. I've never liked him. Same with what's his name? Oh shit, Homer Simpson. Simpsons. I've never. Nope.
Okay, so I like The Simpsons, but here's why I like SpongeBob. Okay, because I realized when I was watching it with my kids that this show is not actually made for kids. There's a lot of adult humor in it.
A lot of Disney movies have that shit too, right?
Yeah, and it used to make me laugh. The other show that I watched with the kids was Dexter's Laboratory, which I still love, and I will walk around just saying no DDs for like no reason. There's nobody in my family named DD, but it's important for me to let everybody know that they'll be no DDs.
Yes. That nostalgia thing in the same way. Yeah.
And Ed and Eddie and Powerpuff Girls, which it's interesting about Powerpuff Girls because it was actually pitched to be on Adult Swim. And the writers and creators of Powerpuff Girls, that's where they intended it to go. And when it made it to just their regular show, they were all shocked. And they just didn't say anything. And then they just kept churning out the episodes. But that one had a lot of adult humor in it too. So did Ed and Eddie.
Would it have changed? I mean, do you think they changed it up because they didn't have it on that? Or do you think it was just the same? They just,
somehow or another, it got by the censors. And the reason that there's no way that they changed it because the mayor's secretary, Miss Buxom, all you ever saw of her was her boobs, her waist, and her ass and her legs. You never saw her face. Or sometimes you would see her from behind.
I've never seen it.
And there's no way that was rated TV. What was it? I think 7 or something like that.
That would never fly today, though. Isn't that fucked up? It would never even fly today. It wouldn't even consider.
Oh my God, it would be. It would.
Again, we came from a special time period. I swear to God, I think we did.
They took away Paw Patrol for some reason. I don't even know why they took it away. I can't remember what Paw Patrol. Which, frankly, so that would be not my older kids. Right. So there's a 7-year difference between my oldest daughter and then my youngest daughter.
How old are your kids?
How many? What did you ask me?
How old? Ages?
Okay. So my oldest son is 26. Then I have my second son is 25. My oldest daughter turned 22 and my youngest daughter is 16. I started really young. I'm only 44. Well, I'll be 45 at the end of January. I started at 18.
We're the same age. My oldest is 24. My youngest will be 20 this Sunday.
So yeah, see, you know what I'm talking about. There was that group of kids, right? And then my youngest. And on Nickelodeon during the day, Nick Jr. is what it was called. There was Paw Patrol. My nephew and my daughter they're like 6 months apart. She's 6 months older than him, like almost to the day.
Okay.
So I used to call my sister, and I would hear her son in the background, and I'd be like, "What is he doing home from school?" And she's like, "He didn't feel good." And I'd let me talk to him. So I put him on the phone. I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm watching Paw Patrol." "Why are you watching?" "I hate it." And I'd be like, "Why are you watching it?"
Right.
"It's so stupid." And he's like, "That's the only thing on." I'm like, "No, you have 11 billion cable channels. This is not 1982, like when I was home from school and all we had was soap operas. Okay. No.
Yeah, the one shit on during the day was there. You had the
No.
shows. We had the game shows, which was fun. And if you didn't sleep late, you had the game
Yeah.
shows, and then news. And once news hit, you had soap operas. And then after that, it came like afternoon kind of talk shows, news, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I watched after school on the when I was in high
Still
school.
like that, I wonder. I mean, there's still
Yeah,
TV.
for the most part. Yeah, I don't think they have as many soaps as they used to. Like they've done away with.
They don't do Saturday morning cartoons though either, do they?
No, because they have they have several channels that are nothing but cartoons. So these kids didn't even have to wait till Saturday for cartoons.
Saturday
You know
was
what I mean?
One day you made yourself your own because your parents slept in. You made yourself your own cereal and milk. You split it on the floor and you sat in front of it. You watched all this. Well, they're just really cool stuff. I mean, remember Transformers and
Yes, I watched Transformers.
and Inspector Gadget. He was like,
Yeah, I watched Inspector. I watched that. I would watch Smurfs every once in a while. Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. I was going to say that even the design of Pac-Man at the time, everything had like this like shiny like look. It was like something like transpixel for now.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it was better.
Yeah,
it was better then. And then what else did I watched? I watched the Flintstones. I watched the Jetsons. I remember when they came out with Flintstone Kids.
When they met? Did you see
Yeah.
when the Flintstones met the Jetsons? That was a cool one.
Yes, it was. It was.
It was in the Errol's box. Remember Errol's video, and they used to stuff the cassette tape in between foam. And does this sound familiar at all?
Yes. I'm listening. I'm following. Yes.
How old? Things, but that was the cool thing.
That was the cool thing. Saturday morning cartoons were cool. Were the cool thing to do, and they were over by 10, and then you were out the door to play.
Exactly. Yeah. But then when the streetlights came on, because there was no phones, no pagers, none of that shit.
No.
It was all an honor system.
Yeah. Be home by dark. Be home when the lights come on.
You knew if you weren't, you were going to face some kind of consequence.
I always did. And my mom, this is the thing about my mom. She wasn't like super strict, but she also didn't play either. My dad was super strict.
You knew that line.
Yeah, and you never wanted my mom to escalate the call to my dad ever. So you tried to stay. But the thing about my mom is that she put us on, like she grounded. So she called it restriction. And you're on restriction. And then she'd always let us off. Always early, at least a couple of days early.
Right, moms are always the first line of defense, aren't they? And
they are.
When they call dad, it's like a line is now been double crossed. You know what I mean? My mom didn't do it often, but when she did it, I'm like, I knew before she was going to do it because it was a situation, whatever it was.
Yes, that it was bad, and you knew she was going to involve your dad.
Right, but more often than not, it was always just her. Like, it was that's just kind of cool. Just the streetlights on, like, shit, I'm late, or especially the streetlights came on, and you were like 4 blocks away, and you knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, but that like 4-minute rule.
Right, but you were like in the middle of the game, and it just went a little longer than you intended. Right. And sometimes I could like explain my way out of it, right? But sometimes my mom would be like I already told you, like I've already given you a chance, and now you messed up again. And I got to punish you, and I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, things were just different back then. Even like I watched some of like Hulu will always have movies from the 80s and the 90s on it, and I watch them and I think it's just such a completely different time. Like even the music is different. Like I listen to music now, and I mean obviously there's some really, really good bands that are, like I'm really digging this Greta Van Fleet band. I really like their sound. But anyway, but then you like I'll listen to some of it, and they are doing these like crazy things. But then I remember we were doing those crazy things that we're actually on turntables doing it. There was no computer mixing any of it.
Nothing like that.
No. So, and even the movies were just sort of better. And I don't really like the remakes. I'm really picky when it comes to to remakes. Like I don't usually like them.
The Halloween, the new Halloween, I'm kind of disappointed in the whole reboot, and I'm like, I'm a horror movie guy, so that's
Me
why
too.
I went that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you not liking about the storyline?
Did you see Halloween Kills?
Yes, but listen.
Okay.
I understood going in that just like I did with like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? So the Two Towers was it was still a good story.
Not familiar with that, though, I'll be honest with you.
Okay, so it was slower because it's the middle of the story, right? So for me,
I get what you're getting at.
That's how I took Halloween Kills, which I'm now looking for. I'm mad that we had to wait so long for the second one because he was so staunch on having it premiere in theaters. He didn't want to release it because that was during COVID.
You may not know this, but they originally wanted to, like 2 years ago, film 2 and 3 like at the same time, and then release one like October 15th and the next one like October 30th, like in the same month in the same year, and then it got shot down. I wish they had done that now. Did you hear
I wish they would have too. I didn't know. No, I didn't know that.
I read it one time, whether it's true or not, but I did read it. I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. But
yeah, that would have been cool if they'd have done that instead of anything. Would have been better than 2 years. But then, so I am liking this storyline, and I understand and I appreciated the stuff that the little tiny Easter eggs that they left in the movie.
A shit ton of those, and that it's worthy of recognition. Yeah, they a lot of payback to the original, and even the sequel. That. Yeah, absolutely. Well, they even the mask from Season of the Witch, that was cool.
Yeah, they had all of the costumes from Season of the Witch.
They did.
And I thought that was amazing. I thought it was really cool that they included that.
It looked really like the same thing, even though obviously Season of the Witch I think was like 83, and of course we're in a now where we are. But it looks like the same mask to me. A little bit brighter.
It did to me too.
They did great. They can't even get the Myers mask right from movie after movie, but they got those masks from way back when, right? And that's the only second time I've ever seen them featured anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. And but I also liked Rob Zombie's storyline, the way he did it too.
And it got knocked and got horrible reviews. I thought it was well done. It delved into, it gave the backstory that we never knew from Halloween. We didn't even need it, but when he did it, it like made it. Do you agree?
Yes, I felt like
interesting, but it got beat up by critics. They hated it, and it was violent, yes, but.
It was violent.
It was scarier though, right?
The only thing that I don't like about Rob Zombie is that he always puts his wife in his movies. Okay.
But in that movie though, both of them, you can't deny it, right? Or do you?
I don't know. So yeah, she was
that's good. Movies I know. Let me just full disclosure. That's all I know. So in all fairness.
Oh, so then you didn't see her in House of a Thousand Corpses and
yes,
The Devil's Rejects, and then
yeah.
Okay, so that's her.
Thank you.
And
you're right. Okay.
I just feel like she's a beautiful woman and she's an okay actress, but she sort of reminds me of like ScarJo. I don't like Scarlett Johansson, and I don't like Kristen Stewart because, in my opinion, they have like two faces that they make, and that's it. And that's sort of how she is. You know what I mean? And I can't. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. I couldn't get into her. I got into the movie, but I couldn't get into her.
Okay, let me ask you a question though. Did you like her like in the first one when it was like in real time, like what was going on, or the fantasy part, and like two, like I liked her better in one when she was like, does that make sense?
As the mom, yes.
Yes.
As Michael Myers' mom, yes, I liked her better. As for the sequel, not as much.
Like whatever, I still liked her, but I'm just like they just. Well, and let me get back to Halloween Kills real quick because that's what I'm getting at. I was about to say the same thing about it. Like I felt it was very silly, like the evil dies tonight like thing in the hospital with like this mad mob. I'm like this wouldn't happen. It just seemed over the top.
It was a little. I felt like it wasn't.
Am I nitpicking or I?
Well. I feel like there was
out of there is basically what I'm saying. I walked out of there thinking, okay, fun but cheesy. You know what I mean?
I felt like they were trying to convey a message with the situation at the hospital because there was some like cool moments between Laurie
absolutely.
Strode and, you know, the officer and whatnot. But I did feel like it was meant to convey what happens when there's groupthink and mob mentality. That I think the takeaway was intended to be about groupthink, mob mentality, and allowing something to completely control your life for your life, right? One incident and this fear of Michael Myers, right? I felt like it was intended to be like one of those the more you know moments, which doesn't fit in my opinion. What are you supposed to learn from a horror movie? For real.
I think I'm just being more logistical. It just seemed over the top, like in that regard.
It didn't seem plausible, and it did seem extra, and it was a longer scene, I think, than it needed to be. That I will definitely agree with you there. It should have been a little shorter.
I think that's what it is. It played out too long, and it didn't have to be. It worked, but you're right. You're absolutely.
It was just a little too long. Sort of like, remember some of the skits on Saturday Night Live in the 90s that just went on just a tad too long, where then they stopped being funny.
That was
like that.
That was the best era of Saturday Night Live, was the 90s. I was watching just earlier today. I came up. Remember Molly Shannon? Do you remember her I Love It thing where she would like kick her legs? I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'm 50 years old. I kick and I stretch.
One of them suggestion out of the blue. I don't know how the hell it came up, and I clicked that. I'm like, that was the good old days of Saturday Night Live. You know what I mean?
It was.
Will Ferrell, Jimmy Fallon. All that.
That was the 2000s, though. The 90s were like Adam Sandler, Chris Farley. Yeah. Sherry O'Terry was like the late 90s, early 2000s. Mm-hmm.
You're right. It was, but that was still, I think that was.
It was still good. Will Ferrell is my favorite. He really is. Will Ferrell. He's one of my favorites. He really was. I always liked when David Spade and Chris Farley were together, though. I always really enjoyed the two of them. When they would do skits together. I liked Adam Sandler, but then it became too much about Adam Sandler, and I was like, I'm over it already. You're funny and everything, but stop with the songs. Like, I'm done. I'm good.
No. And that became his main thing. Well, one of his things.
Yeah.
Strum the guitar. Like, no, you're right about that.
And it irritated, Kevin Nealon would get irritated because he would write his whole skit out for the news. And then they'd have to change it because Adam wanted to do a song. It was like a big deal. And then for a while, I was like, after they left the show, I was like, I'm not watching it. But then I was somewhere on a Saturday night, and everybody's like, oh, Saturday Night Live's on. So I started watching it. And I was hooked. Then that new cast, I got hooked. And I remember Sherry O'Terry, when she would do the bus driver lady that was all pilled out.
What is it? Tough Act to Connect. Yeah, but she had
She was just funny.
She was funny in all her shit, though. She really was. She was good. Yeah, that was the good old days of that stuff.
Yeah, it was.
My wife watches it now, and I tune in from time to time. It gets too political for me. Not so much. It used to be, but it's still like it kind of left a bad taste. But I just don't find them as funny now. You know what I mean? It's just I may be politically correct. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I feel like they don't push the envelope the way they used to.
No, they certainly don't. If you watch the old ones, and it was done fun. Like nowadays, everybody's just offended by things.
Everybody's so serious all the time. Like I will never forget. And this is actually sort of before my time, but I remember watching it when Eddie Murphy used to be Gumby. And when he would be Buckwheat, and I mean, and then Mr. Robinson's neighbor, today, boys and girls, all right, children. Like he was.
No. And
it was funny.
It was funny, and it's unfortunate that like people wouldn't have appreciation for that because no one thought of it in any negative connotation at that time. It was just pure comedy,
right?
You know? And nowadays, people would look at that differently, and because the way the things things have changed, but it was just good old humor.
It was.
There was just innocence back then. It doesn't exist today, you know? Yeah,
and they were definitely on a lot of levels. They were pushing the envelope, but doing it in a fun way, in a funny way. It was humorous. It wasn't intended to be offensive. However, they would go over. They would make it bigger than it was, which is what parody is.
Right.
So, which was actually highlighting social ills. They weren't making fun of them. You know what I'm saying? But you had to have that sort of, you have to have a little different way of thinking sometimes, you know, in order to appreciate humor that way.
It still resonated with everyone then. Everyone got what the message it was being sent in a funny way. I mean, we all got it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's unfortunate the way things have become, where things are just politicized or whatever, like, you know, and
everybody's just so fucking serious all the time. Like, look,
serious.
I'm aware of all the dramas that's going on these YouTube streets. Don't think that I'm not. I see it all, right? But for me,
I bet the fuck
look, I'm a busybody. I will go and watch shit. Okay, I won't participate in it because sometimes it's, for me, I'm not judging. Sometimes I think some people are just extra as fuck for no reason.
Yeah.
Now I realize that things are personal to people, obviously, right? And so I get it, but I do also feel like lately, within the last, I don't know, a couple of months, it just seems like YouTube has just taken this really dark, mean twist, and I don't like it. And for a long time, I'm not even going to lie, this is why I put a lot of the West Memphis 3 stuff on hold, because it felt to me like that is what people wanted. They wanted the drama, and I'm never going to be that. I'm never going to be that person.
Three, by the way. Yeah. Why? What's going on? Are we going back on?
I'm going to go back on it.
No, I don't mean it like that. I'm not trying to, you know.
No, I know what you mean. No, I'm not offended. I had to take a break from it for a minute.
It's a mind fuck, imagine. Because you are into that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm always.
And you know what? I want to say you've done great work on that.
Thank you.
I want to personally, since I'm able, this is the first time we've ever talked, I want to say, yeah, you've done phenomenal with that. But go on, because I wasn't familiar with it until I started.
Oh, you weren't? Oh, wow. See, this is the thing.
I heard of it, but I knew the basics, but I never went the other way. But anyway, yeah, thank you.
Okay, so for me, like the case, if you really like search on YouTube, you'll find a bunch of channels that have covered this case. Not in the same way that I have. It's everybody's different. Everybody does it their own way. But what I wanted to do, it's very difficult for me to present the information the way that it is without putting my personal opinion on it.
Yeah, it was all fair. Yes.
And but then I realized as I was doing that, what I was missing, some of the episodes when I watch them back, I'm missing, me is missing out of them. And then I was thinking, well, how can I do both? How can I cover the case, right, and get the information out there, but still interact with people and be able to give my opinions? And so I thought about, and you guys tell me what you think, doing a live for everybody that actually wants to interact with me, but then also doing just a straight episode where, like I was doing before, it's just like some extra work. But if that's what I want to bring content to people that they want to see, otherwise, what's the point?
Since I'm here with you, I would say my initial thought was like do like a rap thing, like a rap party thing when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to like actually do the interactive thing, which would be cool too. But I think that's more work. You know? So, I mean,
I don't know. Maybe I'll make another poll. You know how I love to put those polls on the community tab.
Is Courtney winning right now? Is she still winning?
I think so, but I feel like, okay, so whoever wins, Luca will just be next. Okay, and if Luca wins, then I'll just do Courtney next, because I'm not really sure. She doesn't have like an actual interrogation video, which is what we usually use. So I'm not sure like what material. We'll figure it out. We always do. But you know, the West Memphis 3 case is special and near and dear, and I just want to do the case justice. But I felt like I was getting a little bit discouraged because I felt like people were they just wanted the drama, right? And I wasn't going to do that. So it kind of put me off for a little while. And then once I procrastinated enough, then I was like, too much procrastination. And I'm still working on it. It's not like I don't, but I have a million projects, like 50, 1100, but none of them are finished. They're like halfway done. Right. So You know, like I just need to get to it. But then I thought, but I wanted to do other stuff too. I didn't want to just be known for the West Memphis Story, which is then I started doing the Halloween stuff. And now I'm doing this. So I think I just need to find my stride, and I'll get there.
And you know what I meant by that. It's all good stuff. But yeah, no, of course, shit. I'm enjoying all this stuff. This is all good stuff. I just want to say, Team Psych Ward's never seen Raising Arizona. She's even asking if it's a good movie.
Oh, my heart. That's okay. I've got a couple of girls on my team. They know who they are. Shmita, who I'll talk about movies or I'll reference a movie, and she's like, what is that? That's okay. We have decided once the borders open back up that she's going to come down here, and I'm going to give her the education of a lifetime.
But she can still at least goddamn Amazon Raising Arizona.
Yeah, but I rather that's true. She could Amazon it. She could. I'd rather her watch it with me though. She's not.
That's true. That's true. Exactly.
Oh, that's a good point, Allie. I didn't think about that. Maybe that's what I'll use. I have to be careful because you know how the YouTubes likes to be, just zapping people right midstream. I have no idea what that glitch was, or I don't even know.
You can only pull up so much stuff, and then is that what?
There are certain things that are.
I know nothing about that side of this.
Okay, so I'm learning it. There are certain things that will innately automatically trigger YouTube's algorithm, and they'll shut your stream down immediately. One of them happens to be Kai with the smash, smash, smash. YouTube doesn't like it. They shut our stream down like 3 different times. We played that.
They'll just shut it down like that? Or
yeah, they just stop it. They just stop the stream, but then you can restart it.
Gotcha, okay.
So the other thing that they do is they will hit you. It's not a strike, but sometimes they'll make it where, like when Dr. B and I did the first roast of No Sweat Glands Andy, what they ended up doing, the interview that we played, people in the United States could see it, but people in the UK couldn't. So then I had to email, then they released it, and everybody was happy. So sometimes it's a rigmarole which you have to go to. So I try to like avoid the rigmarole, but there's sometimes when you just like Kai, who would have seen that coming? That kid is hilarious.
I don't understand that because there's like so much bad stuff going on with people like saying horrible things about other people, and that stuff's not shut down. So it's like the police are policing the wrong people.
Well,
right?
Yes, there are some things.
Doesn't it seem that way?
It does seem that way. There are some things that you can play that will innately trigger the algorithm. It's because it's in the code of whatever it is that you're streaming, right? And it'll just trigger it and it'll just stop your stream. But the more that you guys come in and the more that you guys are my biggest support, really. I wouldn't have a channel. I wouldn't even be doing this. What would be the point if nobody was watching? And so I just appreciate your support and always your encouragement. And I just want to bring you guys stuff that you enjoy listening to. And the West Memphis Story is a heavy, heavy case, and it's not for everybody. So that's why I started
that makes sense.
Bringing more stuff into it. But for me, I get I have to learn to manage my time better because then I'd be just getting distracted on stuff and then I forget. And it's just bad news bears. But I promise I'm going to be better.
There's nothing wrong with distraction because after a while I get tired of doing one, you know what I mean? You sit down and you're like, I got to stand up. You're like, so no, absolutely. That's you got to.
But I realize that I need to be consistent. If I say I'm going to be, the only reason I didn't do this live when it was actually scheduled, which was last Wednesday, is because then the next day was Thanksgiving, and I figured people would be with their families. And honestly, I'm not a fan of Thanksgiving. I don't really look. I like the part where everybody's together. I just don't like all the cooking that I have to do. Food does not provide entertainment for me. Food is for sustenance. And usually when I have to cook like that, then I'm not hungry. And I have to mentally prepare myself because it's
so
a big meal.
Was it the same? Did you just not eat? Was this one any better? You just said as a whole you didn't care for Thanksgiving. I was just wondering, was this one a little bit more remarkable? Or the same.
It was Thanksgiving. my family likes when I cook. They enjoy when I cook. It's just a lot of freaking work.
Yeah,
right?
so yeah.
So that's really all it was. And I did eat. I just, when you're making everything, you sort of have to taste it. So you're sort of nibbling throughout the day, right?
That's
so
true.
by the time it's time to actually like sit down and eat, plus I'm in Florida.
And then you gotta clean up the shit up too, right? I mean,
I will say this. This is
Yeah.
what I did this year. I made a deal with everybody. I said, look, I will cook, right? And I will even clean as I go. Okay, because we don't have a dishwasher. That's one thing about Florida homes. They don't all have dishwashers. It's really weird. But anyway, I don't know what their deal is. They don't really have big kitchens either. I think because it's Florida and you can, because the weather's so nice so much, you
You're right.
really shouldn't be in your house. You really should be outside, right? So what do you need a big ass kitchen for? I just want a dishwasher. I don't care about a big ass kitchen. I just want a dishwasher. So I said, all right, I'll cook. I'll clean as I go.
Use it.
And then you guys do the dishes, after we all eat. And they did. They were great. They cleaned it up. They were wonderful. My kids were just great this year. So I was like, okay, this is encouraging. So that I had a really good Thanksgiving. I really did. So then I was like, okay, well, I got to do this episode on, Wednesday. And this, I promise you guys that I'm going to be consistent. This is my pledge to you guys. Everybody that subbed to me, everybody that became a member today, thank you so much. I appreciate it more than you know. And I promise that this same time next Wednesday, I will be back. I will be live and I will have a new episode and I will be consistent. And I will also bust out some West Memphis 3 stuff and maybe some members only stuff too.
Life happens too. So don't like put, don't, you know what I mean? Just don't worry about it.
Hey, Truth and Transparency. I also, I needed a minute. Like I needed a break from it because I got right, like way back down deep. And it's a hard place to be in this case.
No doubt.
It really is. It's a difficult
I
case.
didn't even know. I didn't realize how much. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
deep.
thank you, Ali79. Thank you for becoming a member. It's a deep case. It's a deep case, and there's so many. Almost everybody in this case is connected in some way or another, and it's very.
It's still controversial today, which speaks
It
for
is.
itself. I mean, this is 1993, and people are still discussing it today. There's an injustice there. You know what I mean?
It is, and
that's what keeps it.
And I also like it when people who believe staunchly that the West Memphis 3 are guilty. I love when they come into the chat, and I feel like when I was doing just the straight episodes, I felt like that's another element that was missing, right? Because I was premiering it and there's a live chat, but it's not the same as this scenario where there's a panel and people can come up if they want to. And I do want to bring that back because
that's always right.
I want look, I don't have all the answers. I wasn't there, right? I feel a certain way based on the evidence that I have looked at and researched, right? But these people have looked at the same evidence that I've looked at. There isn't any other evidence. There's no hidden vault of evidence, right? But they've analyzed the evidence, and this is their interpretation of it. And
that's the cool thing about it. You have your I mean that's what makes this so fun in a way. You know what I mean? Even though it's
I like it,
right?
I enjoy that banter. I don't ever want to be in an echo chamber. I'm an Aquarius. We love to argue. Sometimes we'll argue for no other reason than just to argue. That's just who we are as people. So I love it. Especially when it's something I feel passionate about.
Passion, that's what it is. That's the cool thing,
Yeah. So I promise you guys next week, Death of a Cheerleader. So everybody, if you do a little homework, right? And
I can look that up too. I'll have her show me where it is.
I think it's on Prime.
I'm sure we can find it on YouTube.
I actually think though that it's on Prime. I watched it not that long ago.
Okay, she'll find it.
Yeah, I always find it too. I'm not gonna. Lifetime has like the Lifetime Movie Club or whatever, and it's like I think it's like $2.99 a month, and they have like all their old good ones. But Prime has a lot of them too. In fact, Prime has A Woman Scorned, Betty Broderick, with Meredith Baxter Burney. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I watch it I've watched it a ton of times. Yeah. So, but I promise you guys, I will be back next Wednesday with a new episode, and I will get to the alibi portion of the West Memphis 3 because I'm deciding between doing the alibi first or going through the evidence. Like I'm having a hard time deciding. So I'll figure it out.
When you get back.
Well, yeah. So that's what I'll do. I mean, I'm definitely coming back on Wednesday and sometime in between. I know Friday we're going to do a roast. Whoever wins, we'll do that. We'll roast them. So everybody vote, because that's how we pick them. Yeah, and yeah, we'll just start making this a regular thing.
There you go. That's cool. Well, I enjoyed hanging out with you. It was cool talking. The cheerleader mom, that was a cool case. I like that. But I'm going to go. I'm going to watch Survivor. That I have tape from earlier today to see how that goes. I'm not liking the season, but I'm a loyal Survivor fan, so I'm going to stick.
I'm behind like 2 or 3 seasons. I haven't watched in like
a
couple
behind
of seasons.
Yeah, I've watched everyone, and this is a tough one. Just the way they're doing it, it's kind of being politicized a little bit and all this.
Oh, really?
Even like the camera angles, it's just odd. Like they're having actual discussions. Like I'm going to vote this one out, and this person's literally sitting next to them. Like I'm like, this is not real Survivor. It seems to really.
What happened to the let's go off into the forest or wherever the hell we're at? And
they don't do that now. It just whatever. Anyway, but I'm best. No, it's very strange now. It's very inclusive, yet it's I don't know what the fuck. But anyway,
no,
that was
I
great
can't.
talking to you. And I will check in with you guys soon.
Thank you so much for coming up, Molson, man. It's always a pleasure to have you guys. Always.
Absolutely. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye. All right, you guys. Oh, so Tanya Harding. You guys want me to see if I can interview Tanya Harding? Can you imagine her and I having a conversation? Actually, it'd probably be pretty good. I watched I, Tanya. I thought that was a great movie. Oh, Heather, I was talking about the West Memphis 3. That's what I was talking about. I would love to talk to Tanya Harding. She fascinates me. She doesn't play. Shmita! She doesn't play. She says what she thinks, and that's that. And they tried to really change her and make her like into what they wanted, and she said nope, which I appreciate. So thanks you guys for being here. Thank you, Shmita, for highlighting the comments and all the work you do. Thank you to the mods, Team Psych Ward, Sam, Momo. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody who became a member tonight. I really appreciate it. I guess I'm gonna end this, and I'll see y'all Friday for the roast. Be sure to go vote, so so we can figure out who the roast is going to be. Oh, Shmita, poor Shmita, I'm sending you some dadgum headphones, and I'm sending them with some kind of tracker on them. So whenever you can't find them, you can like clap or something, and they'll make a noise or whatever. And anyway, so good night, you guys. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again. Thank you, Molson, man, for coming up. It was great. I will see y'all next Wednesday. Adios, muchachas and muchachos.